In a world with more information than ever before, we're now in a world also with less clarity than ever before. And recently, I've been fighting this battle for my own mind, because there's just this constant need to get information from people and things. And I want to share an experience that I've had over the last 3 years to get my business to 50K a month business profit every single month. We don't do any marketing, it's all organic. And that was built not off the back of paid mentorship. It wasn't off the back of sitting down and reading a million books. It was off the back of gut. It was off the back of intuition. It was off the back of energy and of consciousness. And it's something that I feel very naturally gifted to me, because many people, when they were raised by their parents, they weren't raised with an abundant mindset. And the biggest gift I was given from my parents that I want to pass down to every single person that's around me, above me or below me, is that what you put your mind to, you achieve, you attract. And so words of uncertainty weren't allowed in my household. We weren't allowed to say can't, and we weren't allowed to say impossible. If we wanted to go to the moon tomorrow, I actually had conviction that I could go to the moon tomorrow from my parents. They were like, if you want to do it, you could do it. Like, there's a way. And I've been around the biggest mentors in the game. Like, obviously, I worked for Iman for 2 years. One of my best friends is Paul Daly, who was the CEO of that 8-figure-a-year company. He's built his own 100K a month businesses and beyond. And he's now a mentor for many, many more. And he's a friend of mine. I can call on the phone. I've had John Danes, who's a 250K a month agency owner for 5 years, who's a good friend of mine also. And I've realized now that that has been my indirect mentorship. But when it comes to decision making, a lot of us are blinded. And I keep seeing this consistency with people who are in this space over-informationalizing themselves. That's not a word, but I just made that word up and it's gonna stick. And it's this, okay? There's you who's trying to scale their business. And there's information coming at every single angle, from trusted sources, from the Hermosis, from Ty Lopez, from Sam Ovens, to James Blackwell, to any of these new info guys. You have Brett Scales, you have all these guys in the game, my personal favorite, Patrick Bet-David, you have Dan Martell, and you have all this information coming at you, right? And so what's not important is all this information. Now what's more important than ever is your own mind, okay? You can informationalize yourself, new word yet again, with foundations, but you need to make decisions not from these guys, but from your own gut. Why? Because making decisions with your gut is the fastest and most effective way to make decisions. I've seen in my life, I've now kind of come to a place where I realized I was blessed, because my friends make fun of me sometimes, but I'll be like, here's this new idea, or here's this new idea, or here's this new idea, or here's this new idea. And, you know, maybe it's excessive, but I would rather have loads of ideas than none. But what it leads me to is I make decisions extremely fast and I act on them extremely fast. And it's only consciously now that I'm realizing that I'm doing that. And it's not a common skill set among the majority that I hang around, okay? So first things first, the first lesson in this video is your gut and intuition, okay? In a world where information is being thrown at you left, right, and center, you need to be able to take a step back, breathe, self-analyze, and make faster decisions, okay? Ty Lopez has a rule, I think it's called the 30-70 rule, okay? And this means if you're 30% sure of the decision, you make it. Because in life, there's type 1 and there's type 2 decisions. Type 1 decisions you cannot go back on. So you make that decision, and it's like, well, if I made that, I am going with this decision to the grave, because it's going to change a lot of things in my life. And there's type 2 decisions. This is 95% of the decisions that you make on your day-to-day basis. The smaller decisions that are reversible, what ad set you put out, what creative you use, what sales framework you use, etc. They're changeable, okay? And too many people on the type 2 decisions take way too long, days, weeks, months of procrastination. If you are 30% sure, once you think of it, do it. Do it and use it for long enough and test it. And if it doesn't work, you go back and you try again. But what this will teach you to do is trust your gut and intuition, because there's no one that's going to back you, there's no one that's going to be with you longer throughout this journey of entrepreneurship, which is a 10 to 20 to 50 year journey, not a 10K in 3 months journey. It's a 10, 20-year journey. I've studied decamillionaires, centimillionaires, billionaires. Every successful entrepreneur that they've said they've ever been around thinks in decades. And so when you enter this online space, some of you who are watching this may need this realignment, is you are aligned with this expectation, okay? And this is often a framework that's used in sales. You have the sales guy on the front end who sells this expectation, and then you have the CSM on the back end re-expectationalizing, new word again, this expectation. So you sell on the front end, then you realign on the back end, okay? And that's what a lot of you need to do. You need to realign your long-term thinking. Because if you're thinking, if I don't sign a client in the next I'm useless, shut the fuck up. There is 10, 20, 50 years ahead of you, okay? One of my favorite things that you have probably heard me say a lot is, let me just get rid of all of this real quick. I'm actually just going to leave this all in. I'm going to test everyone's patience and not use edits. Okay? Maybe I'm not because this screen isn't working. Okay, I am going to test you. Okay, it's learning versus earning. Okay? There's this concept that a lot of us fall for, and especially salespeople, and sometimes agency owners, that if I am at earning, I need to fucking bounce. Wrong. My first paycheck for Imran Gadzi was 78 bucks. My next two were probably between 1K to 2K for, I'd say, 3 to 4 months. Okay? That hurt. I was working probably 18 hours a day, consistently, off my phone, DM setting, calling, CRM, everything. I was like a slave. Did I complain? No. And I understand it's a very virtuous place to come from, saying I was working for Imran, I didn't complain, etc., obviously. But this is a general consensus of thing. If I was in that position, I still would have had the same mindset because I approached this with the same mindset. I had this mindset before, is I am not earning right now, but the actions I am taking daily lead me to a place of learning. And a place of learning increases market value. You're increasing your market value every single day that you are learning and not earning. So here's your barometer. The more you fill this barometer, the more the market perceives you to be valuable, the more you will be paid in the future, okay? And so therefore, when you go into things, you have to realign your expectations. You have to, first of all, make decisions based on your gut, because the quicker you make decisions with your gut, the quicker you will learn about yourself. The quicker you will learn about yourself, the more you can self-analyze. The more you can self-analyze, the more willing you are to stay in the game, because you're not attached to the short-term expectation of 10K in 3 months. You're not attached to it because you can self-analyze and realize, wait, hold up. I am learning skill sets here right now, no matter what position I'm in, whether I'm stuck at 5K a month, whether I'm stuck at 1, or whether I'm at 30K consistently. You will be like this for so long, and then boom. Have you ever listened to a Joe Rogan? Have you ever listened to any podcast ever that's ever had a successful person on it, ever? It's always been this up, this down, rock bottom, stable, 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 up, and then up, and then up, and then up, and then up. Whereas our expectation is this. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It doesn't exist. There is that period of learn, 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 learn. And if you take the lessons of the people who have failed, on top of that, you shouldn't have to have this rock bottom. You should be able to have the consistency of learning, the stagnation. And then as your market value increases, boom, you're gone, okay? That is the first lesson that I wanted to go over today. How you need to trust your gut. Yes, take information in, but don't accept all of it. Acknowledge it, be aware of it, utilize it if it's necessary, or if it adds or if it benefits, but don't make your own decisions based off other people's decisions. Make your own decisions based off your gut, because you will move faster and you will learn more. That's probably the number one most common characteristics I see between my wealthy friends versus my poor friends is they self-analyze like fucking crazy. If there's something wrong, they can spot it within a second. And that's because they've constantly been their own best friend. They've constantly been the person that backs themselves the most. They've constantly been the decision maker. And so if you want to be successful, you need to be able to think for yourself. Because let's think about it, if you're relying on somebody else to get you to where you are right now, how are they going to get you to the next stage and the next stage? And there's going to be a cap to that. And so it's always going to be you. And this leads me on to my next thing. It's energy, okay? And frequency. The woo-woo stuff of the game. And I was looking for a mentor recently, and I was lost in this cycle of looking for a mentor to give me the technical things to get me from 50k to 100k to 150. Even though I know what I have to do, my business model is very, very different, and I'm playing the decade game. I could short-term make 150k a month, but I know I need to be very, very careful because that would hurt the long-term of my company. But what I've now realized is if I want to get into a state of playing the decade game that all of you should want to play, this is priority. And the one thing that I have done subconsciously over this time is I protected my energy like crazy. Because what was the first move I did? Obviously, I'm from this country of Ireland originally. The first thing I did, made my first 1k, had probably 1.5 in the bank, and I bounced to this tiny little island called Malta. Why? To protect my energy. My parents, yet again from a young age, always told me, always be careful who you're around, always be careful what you say to the people who are around you, because you need to protect your energy. So if you're not in an environment right now, whether, I don't care if you're in fucking Dubai or if you're in Ireland, if you're in a circle where your energy is being drained by the materialism or the lack of vision or whatever that environment may hold that may be a negative to you, you need to bounce. So the only reason I went to Malta was because, to be honest, two reasons. Number one was sun. Number two is live with friends who were in the same business as me doing sales. And then number three was to see wealth. I'd never seen wealth before. You know, I'm from Longford in Ireland. We don't see wealth. You know, everyone earns max 30,000, 40,000 a year. We do that months now. It's surreal to say, and that still hasn't hit me fully. But until I seen nice cars in the daily, which you don't even see too often in Malta, I mainly just went for these two. This came when I started going to places like London with Iman and the team. And I think Iman came in and spent 20k on a dinner, or maybe 10k on a dinner. I think 20k on a dinner. It was Hackstand Mayfair. He came in, hour late, as Iman usually does, because aura. Came in, he had his energy about him, really good energy. Sit down, you know, there was drinks at the table, espresso martinis. And I remember, the one thing Paul said was never try out drink Iman, because apparently he can drink, he's Dagestani, and so his drinking genetics are apparently fucking nuts. And it's true. I started ordering some tequila for myself because I was like, I'm Irish. Chill, I got this. Wrong. I was on the floor of my shower in my apartment or my hotel in London at the time at like 4 a.m. It was rough. I was fine up until then. I just like hit a wall at like 3 a.m. when I got back to the apartment, which was fine. But we went to a nightclub. He ordered a ridiculous amount of bottles, not even too much for himself, just for everyone. The whole team was there. Probably another 20 or 30k there easily. And I'm like, wait. So this guy just spent my country's yearly salary on average per person in one night on bottles and food. Huh. There's more money out there than I think, that I'm aware of. And so then it was a reprogramming and realignment of my mind that like my expectations of what I can achieve in the long term need to expand. And that's the biggest blessing of energy in your environment and your consciousness is if that shifts in a positive way, that mental change is phenomenal. Another friend of mine, Connor, came to our event in Marbella last summer. It was our first ever event. It definitely could have been run better. But from a guy who just came from Dublin in Ireland with 0 clients at his agency at the time, he knew he was in the space. He's seen wealth, he's seen money, and he went back hungry, a different man, a different perception of life, and signed 8 clients in, I think it was 2 months. And that's happened so many times with people who've come over and visited us in Spain. I live in Netherlands right now for the next 3 months because I'm in love and I'm following my girlfriend around because she has something going on right now. But yeah, you need to realign yourself. So your energy and your circle is everything, okay? And that's for many, many reasons, right? And there's one thing that I have never, ever, 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 ever let around me, okay? And that is, if this cooperates with me, and that is words of uncertainty. Tanty. Alright, that's probably spelled wrong, but I can't really think right now. Words of uncertainty. They don't exist around me. If my friends are ever complaining, Keane will know this watching this, I'll always say, brother, stop complaining. I don't want to hear complaining around me. I have reprogrammed my mind to not see negative. It doesn't exist in my mind. No matter what happens, no matter what bank accounts or payment processors get locked, no matter what happens within the team, no matter what happens with an ad, no matter what happens, there is a positive to take, always. And a true entrepreneur will take a positive from a negative all the time. Example, for me, I just moved from Marbella, where my whole business was built, with all of my friends, with all the people who come to network with me, to Netherlands, by myself. Because my girlfriend has some things on that she needs to be here for, and we do long distance the last 9-12 months, and it's just difficult doing long distance. And I said, look, I will relocate for the next 3 months until she's ready, and then she'll come back with me, of course. But I could look at that as like, fuck her. She's ruining my business, she's ruining this. And instead, the perception needs to be, okay, well, how can I adapt? How can I make this a positive situation? How I'm gonna make this a positive situation is, we have members in Copenhagen, in London, in Dublin, and all over Europe. And I was just fixated on Marbella. And I had built a great base in Marbella. I had 30 members down there right now. We meet up every day for dinners or lunch or co-work or paddle or whatever it is. But more members need more focus. And if I want to align with my long-term vision of making this Europe's greatest networking club, the Soho House of Entrepreneurship, I gotta be damn sure I'm hosting events in other places. And so you need to remove words of uncertainty out of your language and out of your perception, because everything is a positive. Everything is a positive. Self-assess yourself over the next couple of days. How many times do you use the word can't, or I doubt, or maybe? Remove them. They don't exist. Every single fucking thing is possible. And this also aligns with your circle. In your circle, is it full of people who says, we can get that done irregardless of whatever the fucking situation is? Or is it people who say maybe, or oh, that's not possible, or I can't do this, or this, or this? Negative, get me the fuck out of that circle. I'm gone. I'd rather be alone in my own mind with my own belief that anything's possible than around people who drag me down. You gotta protect your energy. It's everything. It's precious. It's the only thing that you have is your gut instinct and yourself and your energy and your vision. And if your energy's affected, your gut will be affected because you will doubt yourself. Doubt cannot exist in your circle. Get rid of it. Leave. Whether that's your actual environment that you're in your town, in whatever country that is that you were raised up in, move. If you're abroad and you're in a good circle but you're earning good money, but it's a negative mindset, it's constantly drinking, it's constantly drugs, it's things that won't align with you for the decade game, leave. Find people who will align with you, who won't use words of doubt, who will be positive, where anything's possible, where money's unlimited, where dreams are unlimited. Realign yourself, realign your vision, realign your energy, realign your consciousness, realign your circle. Because we're in this game for a very, very long time. When you're in this game with yourself in your own head for decades. If you're in this game for 3 to 5 months, fuck off, because you're taking up a bit of space and you're taking a few clients and you're hurting a few clients that we could probably use. If you're in this game, to be in this game for the actual process of entrepreneurship, not just for the outcome of entrepreneurship, but for the process because you love the process, you think in decades. And when you think in decades, you gotta trust your own gut. No matter what information's going around you the whole time, you have to realize and be able to self-account and be able to pull yourself out of a situation and to be able to say, I'm making this decision, fast, quick decisions that you're 30 to 40% sure on, because you can self-analyze and self-reflect constantly, fast, decision, self-analyze, reflect, do again, decision, self-analyze, reflect, do again, this certain feedback loop of reflection. Because I've been sitting here reflecting because I'm alone, I have nothing else to do. And it's like, how did I get myself in a position to where I am 21, have a business that, you know, if I compare it to all these kids in Miami who are buying Lamborghinis, etc., I'm not as financially well off as them. But I believe that I will outdo them in every aspect of life over the next decades. Because there's always going to be that lady in the red dress. There's always going to be that fucking kid in Miami who's flashing this Lamborghini in front of your face and you're like, oh, I should switch business models. I should really switch the way I approach things. Oh, I need to get down to Miami and fucking do nothing all day with these kids and sell the dream, sell a 10K econ course that gets no results. Brother, focus on you. You're in a decade game. Do not get distracted. And I've realized that being 21, having the business that I have, and not just the business that I have, but the vision that I have, the decade game, all of this while reading, I think, 2 books back to back. I think I read Hermosi's $100 million offers and Gap Selling, and that was it. All with gut, all with instinct and intuition. Because I listen. I know God's got my back. I know there's no single way that I will fail. John 13 verse 7, Jesus says, you may not know now, but later you will. So you trust within your gut and you trust within your heart and you trust within whatever you're going through right now, no matter what situation you're in. If you're in the dumps, if you're drinking every single weekend, if you're fucked, if you have no consistency in your life, that's part of your plan. The reason you're there will be the motivator and the constant reason that you don't want to go back to reality after you finally commit yourself towards doing something else with your life. That's going to be the motivator. Don't hate where you are right now. Be grateful for where you are right now, because it is your booster to get to a different area of life. Once you trust your gut, once you trust your instinct, once you actually start listening to that voice on your shoulder who is right, not the other one who doubts you, the one that gives you certainty, because he is there. Listen to him. Ask yourself, what would the best version of James do in this moment right now? And do that thing. Okay? I've done all this with this. Just my instinct. I know what to fucking do. You all know what to fucking do. So start listening. Start listening to hear. It's all you need. All you need. Listen to yourself. Learn from others, but listen to yourself and make decisions yourself and make them fast. Let me know if you like these videos. Subscribe, follow me on Instagram. Amen.